All right, welcome everyone to this special edition of an Ask Me Anything session, which the PR team has dubbed the Fry-Up session. With me, Antoni Trenchev, co-founder and managing partner at Nexo. And today we mark something truly exceptional. We mark the 3rd anniversary of the Nexo platform. So a happy birthday to Nexo, to the platform, to all of us, to the team, to the investors, to the clients, to the fans, to the haters, to absolutely everyone who knows what Nexo is. We're turning 3. This is quite amazing, given the fact that crypto is such a nascent industry. 3 years in crypto equal 30 years in real life, so we truly have been around the block. Now, before we kick things off, the way it's gonna go down is we have a few questions prepared by the team internally. Things that they're asking now anonymously, even though I'm pretty sure we'll guess who posed the questions. But the idea is to ask some of the questions that are on everyone's mind and that they think might be uncomfortable, even though I don't think there is a question that can truly make me uncomfortable, but let's see. So question number 1, does your PR team hate you? Now, quite obvious who posed that question. I'm sure that's the PR team themselves, and I don't know, probably better post to them directly whether they hate me or not. I think we have a complicated love and hate relationship, which is intertwined with the ups and downs of our successes, the challenges that we're facing, but I guess it's a normal relationship. I definitely do not hate anyone on the PR team. They're my folk and absolutely love them, even though I sometimes give them a hard time. And if I do, this is with the best intentions possible so that we can keep on grinding and pushing the whole carriage forward. So honest answer, I don't know. We're gonna do an internal poll and see whether they hate me and and which department hates me most. Maybe that's something we can do for the 4th anniversary. Right, so now question number 2. Why is there no team section on your website? Who are the founders? Why are you hiding them? Well, quite obviously. By the way, shout out to those who put that in writing. This is some beautiful handwriting. If I had to write it up myself, it would probably be very, very illegible. So looks like a girl's writing, to be fair, but exquisite here. Not trying to talk myself out of a question. We are hiding them, everyone except me, for the obvious reason that I am a sick, egocentric and megalomaniac, and I want you to see only me, and it's the I of the situation. I don't know if the sarcasm came through. We are not putting a great emphasis on that for a number of reasons. First of all, we are growing by 10 to 15% on a monthly basis. We are now over 200 people, and I don't want the people maintaining the website to be, engaged with updating the information on a daily basis. That's why we don't have the whole team. Second of all, just from a PR and communication strategy, is always better to focus the energy on one particular individual to build up the profile, to build up the relationships with the media. It then becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy, snowballing effect, where the more you are on Bloomberg and CNBC and the more you talk to CoinDesk and Cointelegraph and the blog Crypto, the more coverage you get. So we have internally decided I am doing a good job at this, so we're focusing the energy on me for that reason, because it yields more success. Hopefully you concur with this estimation of how I am performing, but we are not hiding anyone. You can go on LinkedIn, you can click on Nexo, and you can check out who works for Nexo, who the other co-founders are. I'm one of four. The very first notion of Nexo is Costa Trenchev's. He has this email which he proudly reminds us of every now and then, of having laid out the concept of Nexo almost to the exact detail. The interest rates are the ones that vary, but like conceptual wise, with the card and everything, was laid out in an email in 2016 to a friend of his. Glad he invited me to be on board. He's a hell of an entrepreneur and a visionary. Another co-founder is Vasil Petrov, our CTO, an amazing engineer who, with him, like, there's literally nothing that's impossible. He can put everything into code, and like the very first system, since we're talking about the platform and its launch, he did it all by himself. He's a walking orchestra, this man, and it's incredible what he has devised. Now the team has rapidly been expanding. And the fourth co-founder is Kalin Metodiev, who has 25 years of investment banking experience. Early on, we used to joke that he's the adult in the room because, he's a little bit older. I'm not holding this. By the way, he had a birthday on the 26th. That was on Monday. So happy belated birthday to Kalin from the Nexo team on camera. And for me personally, he's a good sport. He is like the best salesperson in the Northern Hemisphere. I haven't checked out the Southern Hemisphere, might be that he's there as well. So we're not hiding anyone. Like you can, if you're interested enough, you can go about and find out who everyone on the Nexo team is. It's just like from an efficiency standpoint and maximizing the results, we have opted for putting the emphasis on one particular individual, and it's what I want to compare. Last time I brought Steve Jobs, people said, I'm comparing myself to Steve Jobs. I'm not going to do that mistake again, but it's like, all the companies usually have one go-to spokesperson. In this case, it would be me, not that other people are not worthy of that job. Now, moving on to question number 3, and I'm going to show the questions for a tiny bit so that you're not saying I'm making these questions up as we go. Where can I see your licenses? They're not on your website. All right, fair point. And we have been working on something that has the internal code name, which, by the way, is a very good name. We'll probably end up using it publicly. The Nexo Transparency Initiative. Like, one of the first steps was to do this Ask Me Anything sessions with myself, at least on a monthly basis. Now with Scott, what we did a few weeks back, probably 2 weeks ago. And there's something with Charlie Shrem, and this special edition of a session, it's actually much more frequent than that. And this was the first step in a long sequence of events to step up our transparency, because this was like one of the things that you guys, the clients, the fans, the investors, and also the haters have brought up as lacking in Nexo and its communication. So we have taken note and we're working on that. Now, transparency, I've said this before, it's like perfection. It is hardly attainable, like full transparency, but we're working on it. So as I said, the Ask Me Anything sessions are the first step. We are in the process of putting precisely the licenses and how we operate in the most interesting jurisdiction on the website. You have to bear with this a little longer, but there will be a dedicated section where you can see like a California license and how we regulate it in Switzerland and what we're doing for the European Economic Area and what's happening in Australia and how precisely we are servicing the great part of Canada called Toronto, etc., etc. I'm not going to bore you with the details. It's particular things that are interesting to different people, and we're working on that section. I'm not going to give you a timeline as to this particular date, but it's coming this quarter of 2021, and it's going to be another milestone in stepping up our transparency. And then the third step, I don't want to quite announce it yet, but since we're having a birthday and I'm in such a good mood, and I'm sure the PR team behind the camera is biting their nails as to what I'm going to say, and it's all tying back to the first question, whether they hate me, they love me talking surprises me in front of cameras. We are going to do something that has been done in the blockchain space. For those who are following it longer, I'm going to give you a hint. Kraken did it in 2014. They promised they'll be doing it on a monthly basis, and they are not doing it on a monthly basis. Just pulling their leg here. We work with them. But, a promise is a promise, and it didn't quite went about keeping it. But we are going to devise a mechanism that is going to put everyone's mind at ease with regards to liabilities and assets. And I'm not going to say much more than that, because you got to stay tuned, you got to be subscribed to the newsletter, you got to follow the Twitter account of Nexo, my personal one. You got to know what is happening, and stay tuned for a very, very interesting announcement here. That was question number 3. We're going to question number 4. Okay, it's a long one, so I could definitely not make this up. Do you actually have offices or just postal addresses? Why are you so secretive? Where you based? What entities you have within the Nexo group, and where? Okay, this is very closely related to the previous question, but it brings a fair point. I don't personally believe in headquarters and their meaning in the traditional sense, and traditional sense is what everybody had in mind just 3 years ago, or actually just a year ago before COVID kicked in. And if you saw what Coinbase did on their official documents, by virtue of which they got a nod from the Securities and Exchange Commission in the United States, which anyone who knows anything about regulation knows that this is the more stringent regulatory body as you can get. They allowed them to put on their papers that they're based anywhere and nowhere, that they don't have that they're a global enterprise, and they're basically in the ether and a decentralized team, and it didn't have an address, and this company went public. But in the spirit of the transparency that we're talking about, we have a very huge hub in our home country, Sofia, Bulgaria, where the dev team is. We have more than 150 people operating out of that, because we have incredible talent due to, in part, by the way, to give it some credit to the socialistic educational system, which has produced incredible, they put a great emphasis on math, so we have incredible developers, engineers, but also business people, people who are good in front of a camera. I gotta keep things funny. I promised this to the guys. We're gonna keep it fresh, and self-irony is always a tool that works well. So yeah, we have a large operational center. We have also the London office, which we were on the way to expand dramatically, and then COVID kicked in, and overcomplicated matters. We are in the process of building up the New York presence, the San Francisco presence. We have offices in Tallinn where we have AML. Tallinn, by the way, for those who don't know, is in Estonia. We have people there working on compliance in AML. We have a bunch of different offices, truly decentralized team in the sense that we're starting to be very flexible from with regards as to where you can work with. Internal communication is in such a manner, and language obviously in English, that everyone on the globe, regardless of their location, can engage in Nexo if we see the value they will be adding to their team. So truly a global enterprise in every sense of the word with regards to entities. I don't quite understand why that is important, and that's why we don't put it out there, because it's like more than a dozen entities, and it depends on which part of the world you are, so that you know which entity serves you and delivers the products to you. So it's like very specific to everyone, and I don't see how for somebody in Australia it matters which the European entity is. Again, like with the licenses, this will be showcased, so I guess this will address the implied issue of this question. So stay tuned for that. As I said, it is going to be in this quarter. How could you stop? Oh, by the way, I want to say something like having full transparency. It's not that I'm an intransparent person per se, it's just that it creates a lot of uphill battles, because when a person is dissatisfied and they might be a client from, I don't know, a small European country, and when they're dissatisfied with something, they write to every single regulator in the country. And this, we have a dozen people within the legal department at Nexo, and with the friction this creates, we gotta hire another 12 people just to be dealing with the complaints and inquiries by the regulators and the watchdogs, and it's just like defeats the purpose. I wanted just to give you my perspective, like what does this mean to me, but we're going to do it regardless in the spirit of transparency. Question number 5. Okay, since it's an XRP question, I'm sure that you can be sure that I myself did not come up with this. How could you stop XRP repayments like this? Like what? And over Christmas too. Yeah. Well, it was actually not us who did anything around Christmas. It was against the SEC. They came up with this lawsuit against XRP, well, not XRP, Ripple Labs Inc., to be legally precise. And sometimes it differs what, there's a difference what I want to do as an entrepreneur, what makes sense for Nexo business-wise, and what legal counsel, who ultimately have the last word on this matter, advises us in a very forceful manner to do. We are in all of this together, in the sense that, we have the loans, we have the people earning interest, we have the investors, we have the clients, we have the supporters, we have the Nexo team, and we have to balance out the interests of each particular group in such a manner as to not jeopardize the whole enterprise. And we received unequivocal advice. It's can hardly be termed advice, but unequivocal advice, for lack of a better term, by our law firms in the United States, that this is the best course of action until we get clarity on the matter. So that's why we had to suspend repayments with XRP of existing credit lines, and also the facilitation of new credit lines with XRP as collateral. These were the only restrictive measures we had on the platform. Clients who had outstanding loans, they could deposit more XRP as collateral. They could withdraw their collateral, and they could put up more collateral in another asset. So they could withdraw their collateral, exchange it for Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever they saw fit, and then stack it against again to secure their portfolio. I know it is an inconvenience, but so it is to have to be liable for trading what potentially could be a security, and we are in no position to be doing that. And it's quite obvious that everybody in the industry pretty much did the same thing. Coinbase, Binance, if I'm not mistaken, a bunch of different companies, Genesis Trading, which are one of the largest OTC desks and liquidity providers based out of New York. So we were, every one of us, having the same predicament. At the same time, I think we gave the tools to the investors and the clients to make the proper arrangements so that they can sustain minimum damage. Unfortunately, some people see it differently, to the point that they have filed a lawsuit against Nexo. Won't be the first one. It's I'm grasping for words here, but it's like meritless as it could possibly be. And obviously any action that is to defame Nexo and bring detriment to it will be matched with all legally available tools, and we're going to protect ourselves like we have always did in the past, and by extension you guys as well. And we're going to fight this thing off. This is one of the marks that you growing up, when you getting slammed with lawsuits, and we have no problem with dealing with that. With that, we're going to question number 6, and I'm going to take a quick sip. I have been advised to be very quiet because everything comes through the mic, so hope I did a good job. Why do you say you have 375 million insurance when this applies only to the assets locked within the custodians, while the rest of the billions of assets under management are not insured? Okay, interesting point. First of all, it is a logistical nightmare to get anything crypto related to be insured in the first place. So I want some props for the fact that we have found an arrangement for hundreds of millions of dollars of custodial assets to be insured, and that we are working on increasing that amount on a regular basis. You don't know, there are like hundreds of pages of policies, procedures that you gotta have in place to get anything insured. So it is a very complicated task. This is for custodial assets. We have been very transparent about it. And obviously it does not cover everything that we have as assets under management. Now, the implication of this question is, however, that you could have something that is safer for your funds than what you have at Nexo. And I'm going to spend a minute talking about why that is not the case. Now, first of all, we have been, or the Western part of the listeners, we have been growing up with this misperception that a bank is the safest thing in the world. This has been hammered into our heads for as long as we can remember. And oh, I have insurance. Okay, great. If you are talking about assets of up to 100,000 euros in Europe or $250,000 if you're in the US and subject to FDIC insured, yes, in nominal dollar terms, you are safe in the sense that the federal government is going to bail you out. Now, what they are doing to your dollars in real inflation adjusted terms with this constant printing machine going brrr, as we know, the memes on Twitter and elsewhere is another matter, but it is intertwined, connected, and has a direct bearing on the safety of your funds, because like the same amount of dollars that you had last year pre-COVID is now competing with the same goods and services and finite resources of this planet with 8 to 12 trillion more dollars, depending on whose statistics you're watching, that have been printed since. So you might have your money lying in the bank earning an incredible 0.05%, what Deutsche Bank would have you earn at present, but nobody's thinking about the real and also the hidden inflation, what it does to your assets. This, apart from the fact that if you're lucky enough to be outside of the 100,000 euros to $250,000, you are absolutely not protected. You are subject to bankruptcy laws and unsecured creditor status if your bank should go bust. And if you think the last time a bank went bust was Lehman Brothers in 2008, I suggest you go online and Google how many banks go bust each year and what this means for the larger deposits. And the thing why banks inherently are not as safe as anyone would have you think is the fact that they engage in something called fractional reserve banking, meaning they need to keep between 10 and 13% of assets, and they can extend, available balances, they can extend the rest as loans to clients, which essentially means that they are printing money themselves. Private institutions are printing money, and it is a dangerous game. It is a dangerous game. And now how that ties back into Nexo and why I think we are safe despite the insurance covering only a modest amount of the total assets under management is because we all do not engage in fractional reserve banking, and we engage exclusively in secured collateralized lending, which means that for the $100,000 or euro or whatever that is earning interest with Nexo, this goes to another individual who is going to deposit twice that amount, so $200,000 in a cryptocurrency, most likely Bitcoin, which is the best collateral in the world, as it is liquid as hell. We're not gonna R-rate this if I'm swearing, can we? Hopefully YouTube won't know the difference. But Bitcoin is an incredible collateral asset class. Happy to be lending against it, especially in this over-collateralized manner, so that you can be safe that your assets are, I would argue, at a much safer place than at a traditional bank. Last but not least, the security of the platform has been so far beyond reproach, and that's the good thing about crypto. Like, transactions are immutable, so all the bad actors of the world are looking for exploits, because if they manage somehow to take Bitcoin and send it elsewhere, there's no recourse. It's not like the story where a client of Deutsche Bank, I think they by mistake deposited a few hundred million into his account, and the next day they just took it back, right? You can't do that with a blockchain. So everybody is watching as to exploits, and the fact that we've never had an exploit tells you something about the integrity and security of the system. So I think that we are one of the safest places to keep your money. Question number 7. How do you determine how much to distribute in dividends? Oh, finally a simple question. It's supposed to be 30% of your profits, but we have no publicly verifiable information about what the profits are. Okay, started off simple and then they overcomplicated the question, so I'm gonna do my best here to try and explain that. First of all, nobody wants audited financials more than I do, and the management, and the finance department, because we have very, very, very big plans for Nexo from here on. And this goes hand in hand with more transparency and with the highest form of transparency, which are audited financials. So we're working on that, and we have been over this in just about any Ask Me Anything session. Fact of the matter is that the big 4 auditors, every now and then they publish a PR piece on how crypto friendly they are and how they love crypto and how they want to do something with crypto. It's like a letter of intent, which like every year gets recycled. They don't have the necessary tools, or they're developing them just now. So it makes the task a strenuous one. And we are working on it, and I want audited financials as much as the person who wrote that question, because this is ultimately what will bring Nexo to the next level. But it's not an easy task, and we're working on it. So ultimately we will have that. So until that period in time, you will have to trust us as to what the profits are, and we are truly paying 30% of those profits as dividends to the Nexo token holders. We have done that on 3 distinct occasions, and we have promised to not be doing that less regularly than once a year. But for the audited financials, you will have to bear with us a little longer. By the way, as a ultimately private company, we're in no obligation to do that, but we will gladly do it, and we want to do it because this is the next step, or it will help us with the next step and bring us to the next level. So stay tuned, we'll definitely have that in place. Where's the Nexo Card? The way you're presenting it, especially on your website, it's already out, but there's no sign of people who have one, even in the EU. I beg to differ, especially with the second part. Definitely this person is not on Twitter, or I don't know, or trying to have me debunk a myth. There are testimonies of hundreds and hundreds of people in the European Union using their Nexo Card. We have distributed the first batch of a few thousand cards. It is live in Europe, and we have receiving great feedback. It is working as intended, because that was not absolutely for granted that it's going to work as intended. I have said this before. This type of card program was a world's first, and was the first time that MasterCard did something like that, for the simple reason that you have a bunch of different crypto cards which allow you at the moment of transaction where you pay for your iPhone to sell your crypto for a fiat currency, which then goes to the merchant. That has been around for a couple of years now, with on and off success. But what the Nexo Card is was literally and virtually unseen. It is a real-time transaction of a revolving credit line whereby when you pay for that iPhone, it checks with the Nexo Oracle, does this person have enough collateral for us to extend the credit line, which it then does, happens in a few seconds. There were some worries whether the transaction is not going to time out. It's not, it's working beautifully, but we had to make sure that it does. So you get extended the credit line, and not to be splitting hairs here, but with the difference, when you sell your crypto, you're liable to capital gains tax. Not so if you use your Nexo card and you actually borrow against your assets rather than departing with them and selling them. So that is why it's taking longer. Again, there's no person in the world that wants the card to be shipped to every possible client of Nexo, but these are the realities with legacy systems. They are slower than we would have them. At the same time, I'm not complaining, because this is why we're having such a solid business case and the successes we've had, because everyone else is so freaking slow. Question number 9. You're Bulgarian? Yes, I am. So is Robinhood's founder. We're talking about Vlad Tenev. And OneCoin's founder, Ruja Ignatova. The infamous Ruja Ignatova. Do you guys know each other? We do not. Simple question. I do not know any of them both, although I would love to meet Vlad. I'm not so crazy about meeting Ruja Ignatova, who, well, has operated a Ponzi scheme, and I'm not a big fan of Ponzi schemes because I don't understand why you would ever get engaged with a Ponzi scheme. Sure, you'll make a hell lot of money, but how do you enjoy that? Just like, how do you sleep at night knowing you ripped off essentially the people who cannot afford it for you to sponsor lavish, flamboyant parties and lifestyles? How does somebody who, well, from what I've heard, she's not a desperate, stupid woman. She worked in McKinsey before that. She had a semi-good thing going. Why would you ever willfully turn into a Ponzi scheme? And like, I read some of the emails. She was fully aware of what she was doing, and I don't see, like, I wouldn't engage in that for any amount of money. It's just because, like, you cannot enjoy it on, yes, law enforcement on one thing, but like, knowing the damage you've done to other people's lives, no amount of money justifies that, in my opinion. Whereas Vlad, I'm like very proud of him as a entrepreneur, as a compatriot, as a person who has opted for the exact opposite, like bringing a useful product that works, disturbing the status quo in a way that derives benefits for everyone else, essentially being a very disruptive company. Now, are the trades as free as advertised? Yes, for you, and sure, if you're a long-term holder, it doesn't matter that your data might be sold to a hedge fund and that they might generate a little something on the side. It's somebody has to pay the bill ultimately. If you're a long-term investor in Apple stock, you don't care whether you got filled at what's the Apple stock? Let's say, I don't know, $300. Whether you got filled at $300 or $300.98. It's not detrimental to you. Where it gets tricky is if you engage in high frequency activity, and then probably not the best platform to use. But what they've built is just phenomenal in terms of generating users. So I definitely would love to meet him one day. I am somebody who is proud of his heritage. There are certain aspects of being being from where I'm from that have been obstacles in my professional life because of people like Ruja and criminals around the world, where they have created this sort of stigma. And ultimately, especially with Costa, as I mentioned, Nexo is his idea. We have been thinking that Nexo's mission is precisely this: to change to a certain degree the perception of us as a nation, because there are incredible people here, and we get a bad rap because of certain prejudices, not entirely unfounded ones, but with Nexo we have a chance to pierce through that and to wipe the slate clean, and to prove to everyone that you can have something successful and a truly global enterprise with Bulgarians being in charge of it, and the mind and matter being of this particular region. And this is what drives us forward, to show that you don't need political corruption and to be this important person's right hand guy and left hand guy or whatever. That nepotism is not necessary for you to succeed even in this country, and all it takes is a good idea, its execution, and the grind 24/7. Almost 4 years, because like we are celebrating the 3rd year of the platform today on April 30th. It's when the platform went live, but we have been extensively working on Nexo since August of 2017, and we're closer to the 4-year mark as an enterprise, not the platform, but as an enterprise, and something to look back on. What's the bigger scam, politics or crypto? Somebody who's aware of my previous life, or one of the aspects of my previous lives. I used to be, for those who don't know, I used to be a member of parliament. We talked about the mission-driven aspects of Nexo. I always had this in me. Early on, I thought that politics is the way to make a change happen. It was always my belief that in whatever society you live in, you have to do your part in bettering that society. So, I ran for parliament, got elected as a member of parliament. Like to think we did some useful things there. Definitely helped me with my stage fright, which I have gotten rid of almost exclusively, entirely. And that's why you get to listen to me, because I am the only one without stage fright at Nexo. I'm just kidding, the other people as well. But yeah, I like to think that we've done some useful things. My parliamentary group, e-voting being one, the next government overthrew it, unfortunately. So which is the bigger scam, politics or crypto? I don't know how to answer that question. Both could be very useful tools and vehicles to push a particular agenda, and a constructive one, and both can be means to selfish enriching of the individual with zero regards to the overall needs and damages to society. So, could be both. If you're doing something like OneCoin, or have a political regime as corrupt as 80% of the regimes in Africa, it could be, it's hard to say which is the bigger scam. Politics tends to have more victims than crypto, because it's usually confined within a smaller group of people. The damage from a crypto scam, in that sense, the power of politics at this current stage prevails. So it is perhaps more important who we trust with governing a country than of running a crypto company. But again, it all depends on the mission of both the politicians and the crypto entrepreneurs. And so we are now, well, since it's a makeup question, I'm guessing we're very near the end of this session. So the question number 11 is, do you wear makeup on Bloomberg? Are you wearing makeup now? Yes, I am. The truth of the matter is I've always had problematic skin, and I don't want to scare the people who are looking at me, but it has to do less with vanity. I want to present the best possible image of Nexo for you guys, but also for the team. I want to represent the company in the best possible manner. And just like I am very, very picky with my words and try to formulate everything precisely, so goes with the exterior. So yeah, I do put makeup on. I'm not afraid to say that, and I have some makeup right now. Okay, question number 12. Okay, another question after all. You have been roasted by yours truly, the Nexo team. Well, I thank very much the Nexo team for their roasting. I hope I was worthy of the roasting. I hope I helped turn some stones, which provide some clarity. I tried to be as funny as I could possibly be with the questions that you guys have posed and that I had to address. Happy to do that sometime soon again. Happy birthday to the Nexo platform, to all of you guys, to the team. You know, so much positive energy, the vibe's incredible in the company, on social media, the wishes that we have been receiving from the broader crypto community, our partners. It's just an incredible ride. I really am excited. I get up in the morning filled with energy, invigorated by everything that is happening. Crypto's doing well. You know, it's an incredible ride. We are here. We're gonna keep on delivering for you guys. We're gonna take Nexo to the next level. This will have a whole bunch of different implications in terms of investments you make, the experience that you receive. We're working 24/7. We are on a hiring spree like hell, and you know, it is truly incredible. I am so happy to be part of this company. Stick around. Find me and Nexo on social media. Tell us what you want to see next, and we're going to make it all happen for you, because we all deserve the best possible experience in any possible aspect.